Joining us now is Lara Trump. Lara is a senior advisor to the Donald J. Trump for President Incorporated campaign. Lara, once again, great to have you with us, Lara.
Hey, John, thank you so much for having me on. Good morning.
Before we get into politics and the state of the world and how we're going forward, tell us about your family and your child and how all that is going.
Oh, everything's so good. We're very blessed. We have now, it's crazy, a 16-month-old son, Luke. We still have our two dogs, Charlie and Ben, and it seems like every week life just gets crazier. Anybody who's got a toddler, I think, will agree with me on that. They get into more and more stuff. He's now climbing on the couches and the chairs. I turn around, he's standing on a table. So, it's fun though. It's so incredible, and again, we're very blessed to have this great family. So my husband and I are very happy.
Well, Lara, thank you for sharing that, and all of us that have had children, two of mine now grown, one of them a teenager. You kind of remember those toddler days. They were a lot of fun.
They sneak up on you fast, and nobody tells you. It's like one day you will just wake up and they will be into everything.
Right.
But we're figuring it out. That's what all parents do. So we'll get through it. It's good stuff.
Excellent, Lara. Okay, so President Trump yesterday basically offers another compromise to the Democrats. They reject that. 6 Republicans defect from the president's position. It's amazing that Democrats never defect. 6 Republicans defect and say, look, we need to get the government open. Now we're trying to get a compromise. Lindsey Graham is still going around asking for a 3-week CR, continuing resolution, in order to negotiate. The president's position is that, okay, if I do that, they'll actually negotiate with me on day 20 and a half. And it's going to be the same thing. It's all nonsense. So the president offering compromise after compromise after compromise, including Saturday, the president offering a 3-year extension of certainty to 700,000 DACA recipients and those that hold temporary work visas until we can negotiate a bigger, longer-term legislative immigration reform plan. Oh, the president being flexible, Lara, in every possible way, trying to help the economy, the kids concerned about the furloughed workers. The Democrats, nothing. What is the deal here?
Oh, it's so frustrating, I think, as an American to watch this and really to see how the Democrats are letting our country down. And I put so much of the blame for the fact that this shutdown has gone on so long on the Democrats, because as you're saying, John, the president has been the one to say, okay, here's what I'm going to suggest. Here are some options that I think will make everyone happy. Remember, a year ago, the Democrats, all they seemed to care about were the DACA recipients, and everybody was up in arms that we couldn't do more for them. Here the president comes out on Saturday and says, I am willing to do what you guys want with these DACA recipients in exchange for the $5.7 billion for the wall, which, by the way, in the grand scheme of things, in the overall budget for the United States of America, I've seen it posed this way. If you had a $44,000 budget for your home, this would be like spending $57 to make sure that people are not breaking into your house. I think everybody would agree that that is worth doing. So you see, all the times the president has come out and said, here's another offer, here's something else I'm willing to do for the Democrats to make a deal here, and they just say no, even before he finishes. Nancy Pelosi came out on Saturday before the president finished speaking and said, we're not interested. So, I mean, they are the ones at fault here. They are the ones to blame. And unfortunately, you do have these 800,000 federal workers caught in between because the Democrats will not negotiate at all. They won't even show up to the White House to sit down with the president. And here we are in day 35 of the shutdown, and people are now missing their second paycheck, and it's not right. And the Democrats really need to get it together and make something happen here. It's not right to the country. It's not right to these workers. And for the future of our country, we need the wall. We need a reformed immigration system. And I think that's why the president is being so strong on this, because I think he knows it's probably our last chance to do it.
You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We are with Lara Trump. She is senior advisor to the Donald J. Trump for President Campaign, Inc., and she is with us now. Lara, for 5 years since President Obama, we heard the Democrats screaming about the DACA kids, right? It's about the kids, they said. We have to protect these kids. We can't send these kids away. It's not their fault. Their parents took them here. They're Americans. They don't know anywhere else. We have to take care of the kids. It's about the kids, right? We heard that for how long? 5 years, over and over and over. Then we heard about, well, we can't be inhumane at the border. We can't separate families. We can't have a humanitarian crisis at the border. We need to stop that. I could go on, Laura, but the gist of it is, the bottom line here is, here's what we're finding out. The Democrats don't care about the DACA kids, or they would have taken this deal. The Democrats don't care about the humanitarian crisis at the border, or they would have taken this deal. The Democrats don't care about the fact that we have zero security on the border, drugs coming in, gangs coming in, or they take the deal. Laura, all they care about is power. And this should be plain to people now, because the things that the Democrats were screaming about, the president has offered to solve them one after the other, and they've rejected it because it is a pure play for power going into 2020. I mean, it's somewhere between sick and sad. Don't you agree?
Oh, my gosh. Well, absolutely. And I think I give a lot of credit, by the way, to the president for exposing the Democrats for exactly what you're saying. Because what we're seeing now is that they only try to, quote unquote, help people when they want to use them as political pawns. That's exactly what the DACA kids were. That's exactly what the kids down on the border were about. That's exactly what the federal workers are to them now. It's all about pawns for their political motivation. And it's really sad to see, because here you have the president saying, okay, listen, I'm going to do what you guys want to do. Let's take care of these kids. Let's do the right thing here. Let's secure our border. Let's make sure that Americans are taken care of. And clearly, the Democrats do not care. Otherwise, they would have sat down a long time ago with the president and tried to negotiate a deal. I just don't know how they think anything is going to get accomplished, John, if they won't even go to the White House and meet with him. It's pure lunacy, but I think people are realizing, as you're saying, exactly what's going on here with the Democrats. And it's been happening for years and years, but thankfully we have a president now who has exposed them and has shown their true colors. So it'll be interesting to see how they try and spin this, as you said, as we approach 2020, because it's not a good look for them.
Well, I don't think it is. And look, what the president has said is, let's get a 3-year extension for those that have work visas that are going to expire. For DACA, we'll give them certainty for 3 years. And then we're going to take the debate into 2020 and see if we can get a long-term legislative immigration reform package that includes the tenets of what he got elected on and what he campaigned on, which is ending chain migration, ending the visa lottery system, ending the scam HPV visas that are sold through foreign networks, ending all that stuff, and going to a logical, lawful immigration system that prioritizes those that want to come in the country, that can contribute to the economic well-being of themselves and all, just like Canada has and just like Australia has. No difference, right? Same thing. And basically what it is rather than you come here because of a distant family member, if we identify that the country is in need of welders and you're a Somalia and you want to come to the United States, you simply get to the top of the list, because then when you come here, you're going to get a job and you're going to be able to assimilate in and do what all legal immigrants are supposed to do, which is benefit themselves and their countrymen. That's why you have a legal immigration system. The whole thing's so asinine to me. I can't believe that they're willing to keep the government shut down over this, Laura. Look, I was at the White House 2 times in the past 3 weeks, met with the president, second time in the Oval Office. And I know that you can attest to the same thing. President Trump is not doing this because he thinks it's appealing to his base or there's some kind of political advantage. He's doing it because he knows that we have a crisis at the border and you can't solve it without a barrier. That's why he's putting us through this, not because it's for political gain the way the Democrats are.
Oh, no. And the reality is, listen, something needed to be done with our immigration system. If it continues in the manner that we see now, if we just have people freely walking across our borders, bringing drugs in, as you said, gangs coming over, 1 in 3 women that crosses the border at the southern border is raped. It's horrible stuff. We cannot sustain illegal immigration as a country long term. There will come a point where it is going to become the downfall of our country. You go over to Europe and you go to Paris, you go to many places in Germany, it doesn't even look like the same country anymore because they are feeling the impact of exactly what the president is trying to prevent from happening here. So I think the president has been so strong on this and is really understanding, I think, the long-term implications here because he knows that let's face it, who else would be standing up to the Democrats right now? Any other president, any other person would have folded right now. Right. But Donald Trump is holding firm because he knows how important this is to the future of our country. He knows we need a barrier on our southern border. He knows that we need to reform the immigration system. So I give him so much credit. It is not easy to do. He hates having the government shut down. He wants the workers to get paid. But listen, it's going to happen. Everyone will get paid. They'll get their back pay. I'm just waiting for the Democrats to come to the table and put an end to this thing.
How do we solve this, Lara Trump?
Oh, well, isn't that the million-dollar question? Honestly, I think people, listen, as American citizens, we have a right to call our leaders in Congress and say, here's what we want. And if you want to call your senator, if you want to call your congressman, congresswoman, and tell them what you want, tell them you want the wall, that they need to go to the White House and sit down with President Trump, then that is your right to do. They are supposed to be in Washington, D.C. Let's not forget to represent we the people. We elect them to go there on our behalf. So if you are not happy with what's happening right now, maybe give them a call. It's very easy. You can look up their number online. You can call their Washington, D.C. office. You can call their local office, and you can tell them exactly what you want to see happen. Maybe we as Americans need to start putting a little pressure on the Congress to make sure that something happens here because they certainly are not doing their jobs right now, and it's very disappointing as an American to see.
Lara, you nailed it, and people have to get involved. Let me give that number out. Call Congress, call your congressman or woman, wherever you are in America. Tell them you want to build the wall now, and you want the Democrats to compromise with the president, get this open. 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. Let me give it to you again. 202-224-3121. We'll also tweet this out, and that's all you have to do is pick up the phone because a lot of these Congress people are uncomfortable with this on the Democratic side. They're representing their constituents, not Nancy Pelosi and not the left-wing extreme open borders set wing of the party. They represent the people, and people want this government open, and the president has been willing to compromise every which way. They will not even talk to him. Now, how is that a reasonable way to run your government where you will not even sit down and even entertain a conversation? How does that make sense, Lara?
Well, it makes no sense whatsoever, which is, again, why we all need to remember what the Congress is supposed to do. They're supposed to be there on our behalf, and they're supposed to be running the government and helping run the country. So all the more reason to call and tell them what you think of things right now.
202-224-3121. Do it now. You have to get involved. 202-224-3121. Lara, let's go forward with the 2020 Trump campaign, which is now starting to formulate. I'm predicting that the president is going to win again. I predicted he would win in 2015 when he came down the escalator. I think we're going to win again, only bigger. I think we're going to carry every state we did. Plus, I think we're going to win New Hampshire and Minnesota. As you formulate your new campaign going in for 2020, can you give our listeners a little bit of a flavor of what are some of the things that you have in play?
Well, right now we're a small team because we don't need too many people, and if you don't need them, we don't want to put too many people in here. But we are looking to expand our team in the course of the next year and really bring in some great people. I think, listen, we had such a grassroots campaign in 2016, and we'd like to replicate that. I mean, we had the people of this country behind us when no one else thought that the president was going to win, except for you, John, of course.
Thank you.
As you predicted, you were an escalator Trump supporter from the very beginning. But we're really gathering our team together, really making sure we have great coalitions in place. We want our comms team to be very strong because, let's face it, the left-wing media is trying to hit us and the president every single day. But I always say, the person that is going to do the best job of campaigning is the president himself. The way that he has changed the country in 2 years in office is going to be, and we're only 2 years in, we will be further in at that point, it's going to be all people need to know when they go to the voting booth in 2020. And I agree with you. I always say I think the president is going to win by much more in 2020 than he did in 2016 because now we have results. Now we have promises kept, not just promises made, but a politician, imagine that, who keeps his promises to the American people. And whenever you look at things like where we are right now with the wall, that is something the president said on the campaign trail, I will do. I will have the lowest unemployment. Look where we are now. Lowest unemployment. I will bring respect back to this country on the world stage. We've gotten so much accomplished, getting rid of bad trade deals, evening the playing field. You see all of it happen, and these are all things the president promised. So for anyone that had any doubt, I think they'll say, wait a minute, this guy actually does what he says he's going to do, and wait a minute, my life's a little bit better now, too, thanks to President Donald Trump. So we really just look to the president for all of our cues, and he's going to do the best job campaigning. And I have no doubt, I agree with you, John, he's going to be in there we're going to have him for 8 long years. So all those left-wing media outlets and Democrats and Hollywood, they better buckle up because we're keeping him around.
We've got a couple more minutes. We're with Lara Trump, senior advisor to the Donald J. Trump for President Campaign Incorporated. Lara, the fake newsers are going to go crazy when Trump wins again. And so those of our friends in the fake media, we're going to have to be sure we lock windows and things of that nature on the election night. But what is amazing to me is you look at the fake news media and you look at last week's news cycle, Lara, and I know you're involved in this because you have your own Facebook show, so you're kind of in the media. It starts with the BuzzFeed story, which was a complete lie about Michael Cohen being told by the president to lie to Congress. I saw the story and I'm like, lie to Congress about what? The fact that he was trying to make a deal at a tower in Moscow while he was running for president? He was a businessman. By the way, you all said he was going to lose. So, it's not illegal. So why would he tell him to lie? I thought from minute one, the story was dumb. Now that's a lie. Then we find out this Covington Catholic school video, that was doctored. That's a lie. I mean, how could people go forward with a straight face and believe anything now in the fake news media?
It's very challenging, and especially from our perspective, listen, as a family member and as someone who's targeted on a daily basis by the fake news, it's very tough to see this happen. I think we have come to a place in our country where the media as a whole would rather be first than be accurate, and it's a race to the bottom, and they want to get the grimiest, dirtiest thing they can. No one fact checks. No one takes time to get the full picture or the full story. You see one little blurb put out there by an unknown media source, and then they all pick it up and run with it, no matter how factual it actually is, because they are salivating and every second of the day looking for some way to hurt our president, to bring him down, to hurt our family, to hurt people that support the president. And listen, as it relates to the Catholic school kids, these are children. Their lives will never be the same. The media has to hold some responsibility for this. And I got to tell you, if I was their parents, I would say, we're going to sue these people. We're going to start throwing out lawsuits. Otherwise, how is this ever going to change? How are they ever going to learn that you can't just insinuate things that really aren't true? You have to tell a full story, and you have to get your facts straight before you can try and ruin someone's life like they did with these kids. It's disgusting. It's really sad to see, but fortunately, I think people are seeing through it, and you see all the nonsense last week, and you're right. It's crazy that was just a week, and that in the news cycle in these days, it's so out of control. But I would just encourage people to do your own research. If something doesn't sound right to you, maybe take a minute and just look it up on your own and see what you can come up with, because 9 times out of 10, I can almost guarantee you that the fake news media is pushing a narrative that is not fully accurate.
I want to ask you one question by one of our many listeners. This is from Daryl in Newport Beach, California. Daryl's question is, Laura, what are they doing to make sure we don't have voter fraud harvesting like we had in the midterms, specifically in my area in California? What is your position doing to ensure election integrity?
Well, this is something the president has talked about since, before during the 2016 campaign, he talked about this a lot. And I know at the White House, obviously I don't work there, but everyone there has told me how much the president is focusing on this. I know he's got a team that really is paying close attention to this. It's tough. Listen, the fact that we cannot ask for someone's ID when they go to vote, but you have to have it to pick up a prescription. You have to have it to buy alcohol or cigarettes or whatever it is you want to buy these days is so crazy, and it should really upset everybody out there. Another thing that you are able to call Congress and say, we want to see some change in this space. Write your leaders in Congress and let them know that you'd like them to address this. But I know it's something that the president is paying close attention to. I know that he put a team together to focus on this and make sure that, listen, if we can't trust our election system, then right, who are we as a country? So we really do have to see some change in that space. And I think that that's something that has been going on in the background. You never hear about any of the good stuff, of course, that the president is doing. But I think if they come up with something good, or they have some new information, I'm sure we'll all hear about it. But it's a great thing to bring up. We do need to make sure that these elections are true and that we don't have voter fraud, because we know, gosh, the Democrats will do everything they can. Nothing's too low, so let's all keep our eyes out for that.
We're out of time. I want to thank Lara Trump for being with us. She is senior advisor to the Donald J. Trump for President, Inc. campaign. Lara, as always, we appreciate your hard work, your insight, your dedication, and for sharing your time with us here on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.